Today, it's the first quadruple A video game talking show. It's ChillPoint. That's right.
We don't really do news.
It's a video game talking show.
I'm so glad. I really thought Paul will sometimes just grab stuff up of what we were just talking about because we were just talking about foam coming out of people's skin.
Yeah.
I was really afraid of what the intro was going to be, and now it's just funny.
Yeah, that was good.
It's not a talk show.
No.
Because a talk show would imply that we were having, like, you know, guests that would come on and do things and things. It's a talk show because we talk and you listen.
Yeah. It is of the talking. It's funny too. We were just having a conversation about the nature of genre, where it's like what makes. We were talking about Metroidvania, but we were also talking that in terms of like, you know, hey, what makes X game a Y game? You know, like, and so it's funny to be like, oh yeah, talk show is a genre defined unto itself. That it's like it's a show where talking is done. But you wouldn't call you call The View a talk show. They do have guests on it, so that makes sense.
So you also have like morning show, which is kind of just a subgenre of talk show.
Talk show, yeah.
Which I find funny. So there was a comment on, I think one of the subathon VODs where someone had said, like, what's the point of a morning show? Like, because they're not what we were doing, but like, why do morning shows exist?
Yeah.
And I figured it out. They're just podcasts for old people.
Yep.
Because a morning show is never anything serious usually.
Well,
it's usually very light and
good.
This is what a podcast is. And now my brilliant joke has been taken down.
That was amazing.
We're already down?
No, I was funny today.
What the fudge?
Now it's only a show. We're cursed.
That's so weird.
We didn't have problems last week, did we?
Yeah.
It was the week before.
So is that a brand new computer, like even down to the case? Like we just bought a brand new computer and throw it in there? Or no, it's inherited from Studio A?
This is the computer that used to be the Studio A streaming PC.
Yeah, you'd think it'd be good at streaming. Okay.
It should be.
So that's not the problem. Because if it was good at streaming all this time and then we got it into that office and plugged it in.
Oh, there's Windows sound. We should probably be back up again.
Yeah.
Let's see what that means.
The problem is that sound gets recorded onto the video, and it definitely messes with the volumes.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Well,
let's see.
If you're watching a video on YouTube and you hear window noises, don't you kind of
get
panic
confused?
A little?
Hey, we're back.
You missed us being funny.
Maybe it's something to do with...
Maybe how the software interacts with...
I'm using this little like OBS remote control thing. Maybe that's like screwing up OBS or something.
Yeah. Maybe we should get like a little there's stream decks.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have a couple of those around.
And like
we could certainly put a stream deck out here.
Maybe that would be easier.
The other things that I'm like, what are the other things that could change about that? I'm like, well, we have this laptop that is doing this stuff. There is it's always at this time of day. So what if we tried to do it at like a different time of day? Like we just ran a test stream for like a half hour or an hour or whatever on like a completely different day and be like, oh, what if somebody is interacting with the stream manager who also has rights to it, and for whatever reason during ChillPoint they're changing something at this time of day every week.
No.
Like they shouldn't be doing that.
Anyway, so sounds like we're back.
Oh, we have paid promotion still on apparently.
Oh.
That's weird.
Wow.
That
would have been on Okioki as well.
Yeah.
Which definitely wouldn't have had that. Oh man, that's probably been on for a while.
Yeah,
because it was probably LRMTG that would have put it up.
Would have made sense.
It should have been.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, I have now turned it off.
It's not going to go away because that's not how that works.
Nope.
Yeah.
It'll list the entire stream that way. That's fine. You all know we don't get paid to do this crap.
Anyway.
Patreon.com/loadingreadyrun.
Hey everybody. Welcome to ChillPoint, the show where we talk about video game news, as well as the episode of Checkpoint that just went up, which you should definitely check out. It was very silly.
Thank you.
Let's talk about the things that actually made it into the episode. starting with Elon Musk.
I think we have to talk about him.
Talking about grumbling about the
Diablo 4.
barbarian class in Diablo 4, and apparently it's kind of OP. And he's like, "What's the point in having classes if one's really way better than all the other?"
I don't know, man. I
classes?"
think the point is get good.
Maybe he's like, maybe I'll switch to Destiny 2.
Yes, that's what you should do.
I know my thought of my fantasy of this was that, like, he posts he posts on X, Twitter, that that he's like, I don't know about Diablo 4, and then now the PR people from every MMO and multiplayer game are like, they're like sending representatives over, being like, trying to like woo Elon Musk over to their game. They're like, we'll set up a server that's just for you and all the cool people. If you want, if there's a class that you don't like, we'll nerf the hell out of that class.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll
OP your class only.
Yeah, we'll make sure. We'll anybody bugs you, bam, lifetime ban, no problem.
Just give him his own server somewhere and just make only that server have crazy stats for him and just let him.
I don't
fuck
know
around
what
in
Destiny
that.
2 is set up to do for like raiding and stuff, but I'm sorry if you end up having to carry him at all.
Yeah. This can be summed up. This aftermath can be summed up with 3 words, which is "thar she blows." It's
The whale, yeah.
We have this massive whale who is now saying, "I'm upset with."
I
playing
mean,
a
I think
game
it's
like
really
this."
sad because it's like, if Diablo 4 has, if the people who are playing Diablo 4 have legitimate concerns about how the game is or criticisms,
Yeah.
it's now all been negated by this billionaire asshole.
Yeah, yeah.
Because no one's interested in talking about that. They're only interested in talking about him.
Yeah.
Like, that would be if Elon Musk had any kind of self-awareness about this kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
That would be an interesting aspect, right? Like, knowing that weighing in on a topic, and I've heard people, especially in the sort of shall we say, enthusiast entertainment space.
Yeah.
That is something that like the PA guys have talked about it, and different things like that, where you realize that like you realize that like your opinion has weight, and that you have to be a little bit careful about just kind of weighing in on whatever random topic.
Yeah.
Because people will be like, oh, look at that. And like see you as some kind of authority, even though you were just sort of idly throwing out an idea the same way anybody else would.
Yeah.
I would really love it if more people had that kind of idea that that's what happens, because you can see it in some of the news outlets where they're like, well, they're trolling for podcasts and stuff to try to get material to write, because there's, especially if you get really focused, it can be hard to find stuff. And often when I see articles that are like, "Ooh, this person who used to work here says they think this thing," and you go and you look. If you actually go and you look at the source material of what got said, it was like, oh, they offhandedly said a thing that they think might be happening, but there's no bearing on this opinion. They don't actually know. They wouldn't know because they haven't worked at that place for years, but they did work there once. Yeah, and
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah,
this is
that's
a
why
lot
I'm
of
not
fun.
giving the.
I
names
appreciate
air.
it. Yeah, but I know what you're talking about.
It bugs me so much.
But there's the thing is, and the trappings of celebrity lead to that, right? Where it's like, and obviously we have that with you.
It's
folks.
also why I try not to trash on games too hard, because I think
Yeah.
there's still value.
You
in
are
them.
our
I don't-
audience,
I mean,
and if we say something
our-
outsized, it's kind of like, oh, we have to kind of live or die by that. So
Obviously, our industry reach and influence is pretty minor, but
oh no, people hang on my every word, Paul.
in a particular area that people are sometimes And so that has happened occasionally.
Mhm.
That I'll say something and realize that it is sort of takes on more weight than I initially intended it to.
And it also comes with that feeling, like the thing is, back when like nobody would pay attention to me, I could say all the things that I wanted, and it was just one voice in the wind, saying a thing, and that's
Sure.
fine. But now that I know that there are people listening on the other end of this microphone, at the other side of that camera, it makes me a little more careful about the stuff that I want to say, but it also emboldens me a lot more to have opinions about things that maybe I should just shut the hell up about. But I think it is interesting because I'm like, oh, I have a thing. I want to get my opinion out there to let people hear it because it matters to some people, and I'm like, I will then say the thing.
Yeah.
And maybe I'm not always clear on whether it's a good idea or not. But.
I do find though, like, because I also hang out in the gaming space and I watch like other people's content and I see how people react, that I'm like, no, I don't want to be known as a person who's yelling and screaming and always doing whatever. I'd rather just actually have real conversations about things, and don't want to be that. It's entertaining.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's actually really good and really entertaining, but I don't want to be that.
Yeah.
And it's, and it's not even like opinions about like something that I have, that I have noticed and that I try to avoid. And this is in no way a criticism of, this isn't a criticism of chat or anything like that, but something that I realize and is on, in chat or on Discord or in places that are our community. Sometimes it can be distracting if I show up in a conversation.
I see. Yeah.
So, or like, I have to be. You want to be a little bit careful about like in people will be like talking about something in chat. Occasionally, especially if we're like if the stream is especially if the stream is offline.
Oh yeah.
People in chat will be talking about stuff, and occasionally get into some can be relatively serious things. Or on our Discord, there could be some relatively serious conversations going on.
Yep.
If I go drop in and be like, oh, hey guys, immediately that's sort of the focus of the conversation. Like,
Yes.
like whatever they were
it
talking about
changes
before stops. Which
It's good for the ego.
It's very flattering.
Yeah.
But it's something that I don't necessarily, I try, like often I'll watch a chat or whatever for a minute or two before I'd say anything.
Yeah.
Just to make sure see what's going on there, make sure that there isn't anything that I'm interrupting.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I like to lurk in the Discord and read things. Most of the time I don't interact because I just don't have anything to add to the conversation, because it's a topic I don't really know or whatever, but I'm enjoying reading it. Sometimes if the chat's online, in like we're hanging out in Studio C and we can see the chat because we have the monitor still up. If I see them talking about us, I like to poke in and say something, because it's funny to watch them realize that people
they're seeing us.
that we can see them.
Yeah.
But that's a little different, I guess.
But anyway, that's sort of off this particular topic. But yeah, this thing with obviously Elon Musk, does have the cachet. I would not be surprised.
He has the attention of people.
He has a megaphone.
And I wouldn't be surprised if there's legitimately a good chunk, a not insignificant number of people that if he was like, Diablo 4 sucks now, I'm going to go play Destiny 2, that people would actually move.
Yep.
Oh, sure.
Because they might be playing Diablo 4 because they know that he plays it, and therefore they're like, oh, I want to be here because the off chance that I might interact with whoever his guy is. Like, it was one thing when we were all playing Animal Crossing New Horizons. And the moment that everyone found out that, holy shit, Elijah Wood plays Animal Crossing, and I'm like, Elijah Wood isn't like a world-changing dude. He seems pretty cool, right? He's got a lot of interests. He does a lot of things, and he's a good actor and all that. And he's been in a lot of big movies, and that's great. And it's like, but he's not like nobody lives and dies by what Elijah Wood does.
Oh, also, you generally probably don't interact with him by accident
Yeah.
in Animal Crossing.
And that idea of that, he plays Animal Crossing, and then people were like, oh, cool, could I get him to show up on my thing? And that just kind of like, that got attention. And every time a celebrity does something like that, all of a sudden it drives a bunch of people into being like, well, I have to be a part of this thing now because I might get a chance to brush shoulders with a celebrity. And that's that idea of like, I might try Destiny 2. This idea of like, we all got to go play Destiny 2, so we run into his character. It's like,
It's a thing of like, if you follow a person, this happens a lot with streamers a lot more these days. It's like, if you find out that a person you likes the thing that you like, it gives you kind of a sense of like, yeah,
you
which
share,
is nice.
You kind of
you
like
share
that
you share a
idea.
thing, you share an interest.
Yeah.
And it's nice to share interests with people that you like.
yes.
The
It is very
How
affirming.
it's our minimum requirement for making friends when we're young.
Well, and it shows that it's like, for my tribe, that there is a well-known, respected member of the tribe that is also part of my tribe. Like, this well-known, respected person is in my tribe with me, and that makes it easier to be a part of that tribe because it's somebody that I can point to, be like, but they are an example of somebody who's part of the same tribe I am in. Therefore, we can all be Pittsburgh Steelers fans. Like that idea.
the flip side of this reminds me. We did a story a while ago about Sam Bankman-Fried, I think his name is.
Yeah.
Who he was the CEO of
FTX?
FTX.
Yeah.
It was a big cryptocurrency exchange that he had. It got into big financial troubles, and it's been a whole thing. But the funny part was that there was there was a profile on him back when he was everyone was like, ooh, wonderkind.
Yeah.
There was a profile on him that mentioned that during business meetings he was on his laptop, and I just heard.
Yep.
Okay. I'm going to.
Did you want to like
I'm gonna
switch studios?
All right.
Doesn't it happen in A because we have direct control? Looks like it's coming back.
It's
should be
probably
back.
back now.
Yeah.
Takes are too spicy.
Molly knows. Molly knows how spicy our
I'm gonna-
takes can get.
I'm gonna close my remote control thing.
We'll
Let's
see what happens.
See if
See
that
if that
makes a
helps?
difference.
All right.
We no longer have control over what's happened. That was not the announcement I wanted to make. It's not the announcement.
The first thing people see when they come back.
So, Paul, you were talking about.
Okay, so I was talking about
SBF.
Sam Bankman-Fried. He there was a profile about him that went out that
Profiles
was
is
talking
courage.
about that during meetings he was on his laptop playing League of Legends. That
Fantastic.
he was had League of Legends going on his laptop, and it was sort of. I think the implication and again the profile came out when he was on top of the world or whatever
Yeah.
was making people billions of dollars.
Yeah.
And so the idea was like this guy is so in tune with the technology world that he's like playing video games and doing all this stuff.
Yeah.
He's cool young guy.
And he can probably process all that stuff because it's like, I'm playing LOL, but I'm listening to every word that you're saying, and I can make decisions and do all this stuff at the same time. It's like,
That's
yes.
not how that would get perceived
and then,
if
of
I did
cour-
any of that.
And then, of course, he was, then he was arrested, and it turned out that FTX was, one of the biggest cases of financial fraud in the past little while. It was this huge scandal. Not only got FTX all messed up, but FTX, it sort of brought down by association a ton of other things.
Yeah.
They were sponsoring all sorts of things that messed up, and there were people.
Oh, right.
And
Weren't they
there was-
sponsoring a bunch of esports stuff too?
They were sponsoring esports stuff. They were
Yes.
sponsoring some video games.
Podcasts.
Celebrities were endorsing
Right.
them. Podcasts were
Right.
endorsing
I
them.
remember this now.
It got real bad.
Uh-huh.
And because of that, so Riot had to sort of be like, previously they were like, yeah,
He's
the
our
game-
guy, yeah.
he's our game, and then Riot actually ended up suing. There was actually like a lawsuit because their association with him was bad for their image now. I forget all the details of it. I think we may have talked about it on Checkpoint.
Well, because you still, like, we were talking about this before, right? The idea of, like, a person you like likes thing that you like. Paul, a person you don't like likes thing that you like.
Yeah.
Is also a thing, but that gives you completely different
Turns
feelings.
out the biggest...
Those are feelings you don't want.
Turns out the biggest fraud is that he was never playing LoL to begin with. He was playing Dota
that's-
the entire time.
That's the thing. I've actually seen people who will talk about... it'll be like, Phil Spencer, right? He supposedly is like his profile will show up online that he's playing a video game or whatnot.
Sure.
And I will see people who are like, oh yeah, well he's so great. He plays video games and he should because he runs like whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And then you'll see other people who don't like Microsoft or don't like him, and they're like, I think that's just a fake thing where somebody's like got his
Logging in with his
profile
account?
running so that it looks like he plays games so he
Oh
looks
my
cool.
God.
Like I see that kind of shit all the time.
Yeah. It's
And-
always a conspiracy.
And it's generally against executives, which I mean, so who cares? But I've seen it against Reggie as well, because Reggie used to come out and be like, oh, well, I like to play Animal Crossing and I like to play these games and I play... we have portable handhelds, so I play them all the time on the plane. And then other people be like, I think they're just faking that and they're putting fake profiles on his thing. And I'm like, who cares?
Also,
Ideally, it'd be nice if they played their own games so that they know if they're good or not. But ultimately...
I can believe that Reggie spends a lot of time on planes and wants someone to play.
So account made for Ann says, Reggie liked things I like. Os Tatakai Oandan, and because of that I got Elite Beat Agents. And I'm like, I
Elite
believe...
Agents was made by NIS.
Yes, Innis made that. They made Os Tatakai
They also made
Oandan,
Osa.
and they made Elite Beat Agents. They made the second one as well, right?
I didn't think Reggie was working there during that time.
So I believe he was.
Okay.
Because he was in the 3DS era. The whole My Body Is Ready
But those
thing.
games came out on the DS.
That's true. Well, no, he was around for the whole Wii Fit thing, which was on the
the
Wii,
Wii.
which means the DS would have been
was
out there, and so he would have been around for that.
I'm not
Anyway,
saying it's not true.
the point I'm trying to make is he absolutely played those games because a guy who's working in Nintendo of America to do PR does not play a purely Japanese game and say, hey, this game is really good. Why would he say that? He's not selling it in that market. If he's trying to sell you a game, he's going to try to pretend that he plays a game in the market that he's working in because that's where you're going to be able to buy the game. It doesn't matter whether he's played a Japanese game or not. But if he has, then it's like, oh, chances are good then you've probably played. Like, it's like, this is all about probabilities, but like, chances are good. He's probably played that game and a lot of other games and probably plays games overall in a lot of different places. And I imagine also he used to eat Pizza Hut pizza. Why? Because he worked at Pizza Hut, so he probably had to eat Pizza Hut pizza to feel like I'm part of the team. That's what I'm doing. I'm eating Pizza Hut pizza. Oh.
Stream is down.
Okay, so it's not
Okay,
that.
so not the controller.
That's interesting. So the controllers, that makes me interested.
Is there something to do with the plug-in on the OBS end that interacting that might be doing a thing?
It shouldn't.
Okay.
I don't
Fascinating.
understand.
So that was faster. That was a faster turnaround time.
You're going to be here while we troubleshoot this, so thank you for sticking around.
It's so weird.
I don't know how we test for this offline either. Is kind of also the problem.
You
right?
can't. I don't think you can. I think you have
Yeah,
to be
you-
live the whole
That's
yeah, I
really
have to go
annoying.
back. I have to go back and look at the logs again and figure out what the heck's going on.
So you'd had the computer set up here for like a half hour or more and didn't have a single problem with connections. Like we never heard the thing go offline, never heard anything else happen.
No.
It's the moment
No.
we went live that it was an issue. So we know it's tied to that. So that's nice. That's one thing that
And
we
we've
know.
we've done lots of local recordings in here without a problem.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Yeah.
well let's move on.
Okay.
Talk about SAG-AFTRA and the SAG-AFTRA their new indie game licensing idea. So this is they're setting up a smaller.
They have a indie tiers on their rate sheet. I guess
Yeah.
is the best way to say it.
or at least tiers for lower for games with lower
because
cost.
they had, so this is a legit good thing.
Mm.
That's why I had it. I wanted it in the lower third for sure. It's like, this is a legit good thing that they did this. Why? Because SAG-AFTRA originally had made a rate sheet that had said, at this level, this is what it's going to, in order to make sure that you can get somebody to, work for you, to record your video game, these are the things that you have to charge. They had laid that all out. If you want to hire somebody from SAG-AFTRA, rather, not just, because you can hire people from off the goddamn street, but if you want to hire somebody from SAG-AFTRA, this is what you have to pay to get those people to be a part of your project. Holy shit, they were high, apparently. I didn't read the rate sheet.
I mean, it's one of those things that's sort of that's a common thing, if we're not just SAG-AFTRA, but just the SAG in general in terms of film production as well.
Yeah.
In video game production and stuff. And one of the criticisms that you do often hear about the SAG guilds and different things is that they kind of price people out of the market. That it because in order to make it work for big Hollywood productions and make sure that their actors don't get screwed over by these big Hollywood productions, the rate sheets
get set high. Yeah, and that can
In
go
a
for if you're
position
hiring
like
grips, if you're hiring lighting personnel, if you're hiring anybody on sound, it's all the same. All those guilds are all setting quite high.
And like, for instance, it's once or twice it's come up for, like, obviously we're in Victoria, we're not in
Vancouver.
we're not in LA. Like, SAG is specifically for the US.
Yeah.
Canada has our own
We have our own
equivalent.
unions.
Yeah.
We have our own equivalent, but it's there is sort of a similar thing, and in the past we have worked with people who have actor union situations.
Yeah.
And there is trickiness, but because we aren't typically set up to be paying Hollywood movie rates for folks, and what we're asking of people is quite a bit different than what you would ask somebody to do on a Hollywood movie set. Somebody calling in for half an hour to do a thing or do a stream or whatever is a different kind of a thing than what these contracts are usually designed to cover.
Exactly.
And if they're and luckily, but I don't know about the SAG thing. I assume it's similar. Luckily, at least in the Canadian thing, there is dispensation there.
Yeah.
For
union members to do non-union work.
For union members to do non-union work in different contexts.
Yeah.
But they have, quite reasonably, I think, it has to be pretty. They have to be pretty careful about the definitions of that.
Yeah.
They have to make sure that it's not being abused and stuff, which makes sense.
Yeah.
So yeah, this is this idea of that you can get somebody who is part of the, that we're not going to discourage people from being part of the SAG-AFTRA union.
Yes.
Because they want to work with a smaller production.
Yeah.
Because there has been situations where people have to actually drop out of a union because they want to work on a smaller production.
Yes.
They couldn't afford them at their union rate, but they're willing to work at the rate. So anyway.
So what we're seeing out of this story specifically is SAG-AFTRA had said, hey, big AAA gaming studios, if that's how you want to look at it, it's like if you're producing a big game and you're going to pay money for, you want to have Mark Hamill on to voice the next Star Wars game, or part of being in your Star Wars game and to read out new lines for it or some shit like that. But he's in the union, so you're going to have to pay him union rates, and that's and good, because at that it's good. I'm glad. I have no idea how Mark Hamill got paid to be in Wing Commander back in the day, but maybe he didn't get paid as much. I don't know. But that really felt like, oh my God, that means that if you have if you want to reach out to somebody who's like an up and comer or whatever, or like is a buddy of yours or that kind of thing, but they also happen to be in SAG, it's like, I can't go to work for your indie studio to read off 100 lines and get in this game with you or whatever. I can't do any of that because the union has forbade me from being in anything that is like non-union work or whatever. And so SAG said, we have worked out indie tier rates.
Yeah.
Is how the reporting is done. It is. I don't think the rate sheet literally says for indie studios only. It's literally the rate sheet they've worked out is to say if your game budget falls within these categories, there's tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. So it's like 250,000 to like just under 1 million, and then from 1 million to 5 million, and 5 to 15, something like that. It's like in these 3 tiers, wherever your game falls, there are rates that apply at those different levels to SAG-AFTRA members.
And for them, it makes sense to kind of base it on what the budget of the project is.
Yeah. Because
I don't know what else you would base it on for that kind of contract.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, you brought up the indie thing, but that's because
the bulk of the reporting is based on that. It's like
it's based on that, and we always have. There's always the argument of what is indie, what is not.
In some ways, the indie thing is more commentary on the reporting than the actual guide themselves.
Yeah.
It would be kind of nice though if we had like a very easy definition, even if it was just based on something very simple like budget.
Yeah. And I mean, what is interesting about this too, though, is that I know a lot of people have said it's like, so what happens if your indie game under 250,000? And I've seen in the chat already that MTV CDM has said if you're under that tier, if your game is going to cost $100,000 instead, or that's your budget because you're one person working at home developing Stardew Valley. And you're making this game and you have next to no budget, but you're just working on it as a labor of love. You probably can't afford to pay the SAG-AFTRA rate in the first place because you probably don't have any income to do that. But at the same time, there might also be dispensation for the kind of tier 0 thing where you're like, hey, you know what? I don't happen to have enough money to do whatever, but my Uncle Sam Jackson did say that he'd read 100 lines or so for the game I'm developing at home. And I'm more than happy to, you know, my Uncle Morgan Freeman is like, oh yeah, no, I'll totally read the intro crawl to your game, young grandnephew. I'll totally do that for you. And he does, and you release it. It's got his voice in it. And it's like, maybe there is a means by which to do that kind of thing and that makes it okay.
I mean, yeah. It's probably, like, at that point, I feel like it's almost that's more like the voice actor doing it as like a volunteer position as opposed to actually doing it as like a job.
I mean, also there's lots of indie smaller games that don't have voice actors at all.
Yeah.
Did you know you can make a game without a voice actor?
It's true.
You can just have AI voices for everything.
You don't have to have any voices, Paul.
It's true.
Or you can do what some other studios do. All the devs make their own little wacky noises.
Yeah. You can reach the heights of fame of Rob and Rand Miller from Myth.
Like I see,
Mist.
like I know you're being like people can just use AI because you're trying to be pokey about it and whatnot. But and I see this constantly where people are like, oh, but if I don't have AI, I can't draw my D&D character. And like, do you know that D&D is a game based on the imagination and you don't have to have pictures?
It's true. I mean, I'm playing Mario Wonder and I also was playing Mario RPG, and neither of those games have, those are big Nintendo titles. Neither of them have any voices in them, other than
voice acting. But they've got like the little. They have voice work.
Yeah.
There was a term that, Christ, because I swear it was. I
mean, barks is sometimes used.
That's what it is. Thank you.
But that's Sometimes that barks are more like just like random lines that people throw out. I think is less, but
the kind of like short. I mean, because that's what a bark is. It's a short interjection, and then I imagine, there's probably a lot of that. So.
People complain about Link not having a voice.
Oh, right, there's voices for the flowers.
He's technically voiced.
Yeah, Link is voiced.
Charles Martinet, most of his voices, like maybe there was a phrase or two, but a lot of them were like wahoos and such.
Yeah.
That's a good point. There is extensive voice acting in Mario Wonder because of the flowers, and they did in multiple languages.
Ah.
For those of you who don't know, I personally have set all my flowers to be in Quebecois, and it's amazing.
I
Great.
think it's really cool that they have Quebecois and
Yeah,
French.
They have
that is so
they have
neat.
French Canadian and French.
We never
good.
get French Canadian in our stuff. We always get like just French.
See now.
I kind of want to try because the fun thing is like there's a few times where the flowers don't actually sing. They'll just be like wah or whatever. They'll just be like making a noise. And maybe it's because that's where my I'm expecting it. But it sounds like a Quebecois person making that noise.
Like it sounds like a guy falling into the ice.
I want to listen. I want to try that same thing with the the French version of the flowers to see if it's different, or the English even.
Whether or not they
exclamation.
share those kinds of like grunts and stuff, because you don't necessarily need to redo those, but you can.
I mean, now that you bring it up, it's like I've been playing Tears of the Kingdom with everything spoken in Japanese with English subtitles, but now I actually want to see if I can set it to Kansai Ben instead, because I think that'd be a really fun. Anyway,
Don't think that's an option.
jokes for me.
And then the IGN Creators Guild. So the IGN
This is super cool.
is working on they're creating a union. They don't. It's not an official thing that's been recognized yet, but apparently 85% of the people on the company have signed the cards and everything, getting it going. They're calling it the IGN Creators Guild. Legally, I feel like there might be a difference between a guild and a union.
Well,
because
I think they're trying to join.
They're joining News Guild
they're joining a
hyphen
news
CWA,
union thing.
Oh, okay.
which is the Communication Workers of America, which is the largest. It's the largest media workers union in America. 700,000 members, 404,000 active members. Because part of those members are dues. Some of them are non-dues paying retirees. Some are dues paying retirees. Some are non-dues paying active members, and some are dues paying active members, which is a very unusual thing. I think that's because if you make a certain amount of money, you don't have to pay union dues if you pay below a certain threshold, but you can still belong to the union because it would be too big of a hit on your salary to be able to have to pay dues. Yeah. I'm not sure how they work that, but usually benevolence comes into play. So yeah, they're trying to join the News Guild side of the CWA. They're hoping Ziff Davis will be like, well, I guess we have to say yes.
I've been seeing a lot of posts for like, go sign this thing to get this recognized and whatnot. I follow Rebecca Valentine who works at IGN, and they're very excited about this, so I'm very excited about this.
Absolutely.
Because I'm like, I like this person. I would like them to have a good job.
You know what the lovely part about this is, that the thing I really love is that IGN has a program called First Look, where they, like, journalists work with developers, which means that developers could be spending, to be a part of the First Look program, developers could be spending an awful lot of time with union personnel at that point, having conversations, going through like planning and whatever else, the kind of things that you do. Right. I'm like, that's also interesting too, to kind of be like, this is another way for the arm to reach out and say, hey, we're a union. It's actually been pretty good for us. Have you guys thought about unionizing in your company?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just one of those things where it's like, even if this only covers a certain section, once you start getting a union foothold there, other groups might have an easier time, or at least start looking at that option.
I mean, I guess my only slight apprehension is that the enthusiast media landscape, especially in the online space, is pretty tenuous at this point.
It's kind of cutthroat.
We've been seeing a lot of people coming and going, a lot of companies having to downsize, as sort of especially in the last little while, which is sort of related to the general industry problems, things that are going on right now. So my fear is that this will be something that they'll be sort of working on and getting in place, and then the whole the structure, it's like the company itself or IGN itself will sort of collapse,
Because they'll stop making money or something.
which
potentially.
Which like, you know, the unions are wonderful for you know, making sure that the workers are treated fairly and stuff, but there's not a lot they can do if the company's going away.
Yeah.
Sure.
And so that's my only fear is that because the industry is already in such a tricky position, if sort of there's if this union and IGN having a bunch of problems requiring them to lay off a bunch of people
Yeah.
are things that happen at similar times,
Yeah.
then it becomes a kind of a questionable confluence.
Yeah.
Well, because unions are usually like when layoffs are about to happen at a company, and if there is a union that has been formed within that company, that the union reps come in and they sit down with the people who managers of the company, and they have to say, they're like, well, you know, layoffs are coming, and it's like, I bet. So let's talk about what that means for the company. Like, let's talk about. Obviously, the union may have to let you get away with some layoffs.
Yeah, like in many cases, the union can't actually stop
No.
layoffs.
Everything, no.
But yeah, anyway.
Like, that's not really what they're for. They're there
Yeah,
to
exactly.
protect rights and stuff.
But
like,
at the same time, there have been a lot of reports that if you have a union in a company, it can prevent the number being much bigger than it would normally be.
Right.
Because the union can turn around and be like, look, if you lay off that many people, then the rest of us are just going to strike. Because it means that nothing means anything here to you either. You have to find another way. You guys need to take a pay cut. You guys need to find a way to restructure. Right. You need to do something else to cut down the amount of people we're going to lay off.
And of course, as we've been seeing in this past little while with the sort of layoffs in companies, and then also, you know, earnings reports coming out, there's a big difference between our company is going out of business or this area is not profitable for us, we are closing it, and this is not quite as successful as our ridiculously high projections were putting it at.
Yes.
Which means that we're going to lay off a ton of people. Like, there's a big difference between those two scenarios, and there's a union can often
so, for instance,
help with that.
Microsoft laid off 1,900 people.
Yes.
Right. We had a comment on ChillPoint, because we brought that up a little later, is that this person would be absolutely okay if they laid off 1,900 executives. I don't think that's the people they laid off.
I don't think so either.
But also, they didn't lay off a single unionized person.
Of course not.
They'd have too much it would be too much trouble. And that's the thing, is that if you have a unionized work staff, one end to the other, then it's a lot harder to just cavalierly decide that we need to get rid of people and here. So, yeah.
Also, as a side note with this story, I was looking up Ziff Davis, the company that
Damn.
and we're down.
Down again. I'm sure there were executives among the 1,900. I just don't think all 1,900 of them were executives. It's like
Julia Mon seems to be getting the Twitch, or seems to be getting our stream with like the absolute least amount of delay, because they're the first one in there to be like F. So
that's what that F stands for, right?
Yeah.
First.
Yeah, first.
Actually, it was really cute. On the ChillPoint, there was like somebody who wrote, "Oh, I've always wanted to do this first." And then, at least for when I was checking it, all the responses were like, "Oh, me too, second."
Yeah.
And like they were kind of more supportive than the normal somebody else first, because usually people are really nasty.
Yeah.
Looks like we're back. When we were Ziff Davis is the parent company of IGN, as well as many other places. And I was looking up, for the graphics for the story, I was like, what's a good picture? I was like, maybe I can get a picture of like the CEO of Ziff Davis or something.
Yeah.
Or Mr. Ziff Davis,
Mm-hmm.
who isn't a real person.
Sounds like a real person though.
Well, that's the joke, right?
Yeah.
Sounds like a guy who's kind of a stoner.
Yeah.
But when I looked for Ziff Davis, the first thing that came up was stuff about them purchasing Mashable,
Right.
which happened a few
That's
years
quite
ago.
a while
I think,
ago, yeah.
And what I loved about that is the CEO of Mashable, at least at the time, is a guy. And I have no idea about what this guy is as a CEO. But I will say he has an extremely smarmy face, and his name is Pete Cashmore.
Yep.
Oh my. That
He-
sounds like a made-up
a
villain
name that
name.
if we came up for an episode or a sketch or whatever, it would be like, that's pushing it a little far.
Yeah. It's like it's
Yeah.
very Kojima-esque, like Sam Bankman fraud. Yeah.
Right.
I think legally
anyway.
they have to take pictures that are smarmy. Like it's like going to school picture day. They expect you to kind of sit in a certain pose.
He was going to an event, and he did certainly look like he'd just had his hair cut and styled and made up, and everything else was just perfect about everything. And it's like, okay, all right.
All right. Well, let's. We got a couple of quick Persona things here, or no, not a couple of Persona things. A couple of quick
You want to get into Persona?
checkpoint thing or quick points. Persona 3 Reloaded. I feel like maybe Kathleen didn't, because this was part of a quick point, didn't emphasize how incredibly horrible
Yeah.
this distribution of the soundtrack and the art book for the Persona 3 Reload
It's at least
digital
on Steam. I don't know what
bonuses.
this is like on PlayStation, but I saw
Yeah.
people. I think I sent you the
Yeah,
image
yeah.
from the social media because I was just like, holy crap! There's
The-
literally you buy the soundtrack with the deluxe version, and you can play it on your computer in their own program that you can't even tab away from because it'll stop playing.
Yeah, it'll stop playing if it's in the background. It's like a full. It's a full.
Imagine it's a record player you have to strap to your face.
Yeah, and it's a full like Unreal Engine app. Like
Yeah.
it isn't just
Yeah.
like some weird.
I
little,
hope it's like a gig and a half. I hope it's
Yeah.
awful. This seems like peak fucking Atlas cluelessness though. Like I mean, because the whole thing about them being like, oh, you can't stream our game past a certain point because of whatever, and people are like, are you sure you live in the same world that we do? Because that's never been an issue for like 99% of other studios. And like, no, but we have a thing. It's like, okay, I understand.
Yeah, they get very
and by,
uptight.
and by the same token, I saw people in the checkpoint comments being like, oh, that's funny. The way I listen to the soundtrack is I type it into YouTube and just watch that. 'Cause
Yeah.
Of course, it's all been ripped already.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but that's not the point. The point is you bought a thing that you want. Like, sure, okay, it's digital. You probably don't really own it. Whatever. That aside, you bought a thing with the expectation that you'd at least be able to listen to it on your computer.
Yeah.
Some people definitely bought it with the expectation of I own an OST. I get to put it on my phone and listen to it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can buy that. That was never going to work. But the idea that you can't tab away from it on your computer
Yeah.
is weird.
It's even it's like how can we come up with a worse plan than an Electron app to play it? Also,
Keep talking. Sorry.
and then of course the art book, which isn't just like a PDF or something. Again, it's its own proprietary player thing that doesn't work the way people want it to work. It means you can't load it onto your
Yeah, that's
whatever
weird.
your iPad or your random device that you want to look at the art on.
I mean, digital art books have never been a thing for me. If I want an art book, that's more of a thing I would prefer to have a physical copy of, because an art book to me is like a thing you keep out on
Yeah,
like
exactly.
a table, coffee table thing, or like you want to page through. You don't want to be at a computer staring
Yeah.
at images.
Would you say that
Yeah, a digital art book is just a folder full of JPEGs. That's like not.
Yeah, and I used to do that in like grade 7.
would
but
Persona 3 Portable be a close enough soundtrack to Persona 3 Reload, do you think?
I don't know
It's probably
if
been maybe
Persona,
maybe they had a new soundtrack.
I don't know if Persona 3 Reload is based off of Persona 3 the original or Persona 3 Portable. I think it's
You
had
can
some
get-
enhancements.
You can get P3P's soundtrack on the iTunes store in Canada for $6.90. Like I can just download it right now and have.
Sure.
I can download
I just-
Persona
I don't
5s. I
know-
can Dancing in Starlight.
Like they might be the same songs, but they might be upgraded.
It's
there
only
might
10
be
tracks.
different tracks.
Yeah, there's only
They're-
10 tracks on this.
Like I don't think Persona 3 Reload has the female character from P3P. I'm a little more rocky on my Persona 3 lore. I joined in on Persona 4.
But I checked like one place I could go get the soundtrack, just on the iTunes store of all places, which is never like it has a lot, but you kind of like, well, what are the chances they're going to have video game music for everywhere? And they have like P5 Royal, P5 Strikers. They have P5 Dancing in Moonlight. They have or Starlight. They have P5.
Well, there's Dancing in Moonlight, Dancing in Starlight.
Yeah, they have all the Persona 5, they have all the Persona dancing game soundtracks. So anyway, I just went to one place, and for $7 I could download 10 of the songs for the thing, and I could just play them back on my iPhone or anywhere
Sure.
that I could. And so it's like, this is a stupid idea. This is a remarkably stupid idea, and it's incredibly short-sighted, and I'm surprised that they didn't just go like, hey, wait, if we do this, people will hate this. Why don't we just let them buy it elsewhere on another store? Why did we do this thing that makes us look like assholes?
As you said, yeah,
It's an own goal.
It is par for the course for Atlas, though.
Yeah. I mean, they did take out a transphobic scene.
Good for them.
Which was weird.
Yay.
Like some people have argued that they wish that scene had been more, that they had left the trans character in
Been
and
more sympathetic?
had been more about how, like this would be like a teaching lesson for the boys to learn,
Yeah.
Rather
which
than
would have been cool.
taking it out
But
completely.
given that the original scene is, they're supposed to be hitting on women on the beach and then
Right.
they're supposed to get scared and run away. I don't know that they would want to try to make that into a teachable moment. I don't know that I trust Atlas to make that into a teachable moment. So
Yeah.
I give them some credit, maybe not all the credit. Yeah, originally it was like they find out the girl might be a dude and then they get scared and run away. And now instead they find out that she really thinks that the sun has been replaced since like the 1980s in the sky, and you need like her special sunscreen.
She's just weird. Okay.
And they're like, oh, run away from that. And yeah,
Yeah.
for the kind of scene it is, I don't think that could have been turned into a proper teachable moment. But again, I don't trust Atlas would have done it.
Speaking of things that you probably shouldn't trust, Tencent is developing this Elden Ring mobile game.
But on the plus side, it's taking a very long time.
Apparently.
That was the joke.
Yeah.
Kathleen wrote a great joke there, and I don't know if everyone's got it, but it was an excellent joke.
It's the fact that there's something about the combination of like, Elden Ring from Souls style game.
Oh yeah.
That has this idea of, difficulty, but well-earned difficulty that gives a great sense of accomplishment
Yeah.
for learning and growing, and that it's this like, it's this
It's patient precision.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's like the hallmark of these FromSoft games.
Yeah.
They're going to make it it's going to be a free-to-play game with like microtransactions, right? Which is like basically the exact opposite. So it's like, oh, you can't beat, Melina or whatever.
Yeah.
Is it figure out, all her different, all the different moves, how to counter them, study the whole thing? Or is it, spend $10, get the big attack boost, and then you win?
Spend $100 for the auto dodge. Yeah.
I mean, Genshin Impact, because that got brought up as like the kind of game it would be like.
Right.
It's money. Most of its money, from what I remember, because I only played it for a little bit, was for character polls and for weapon drops.
Yep.
So, like, I don't think that game had like attack boost style things.
Well, the
in it.
weapon drops. Which
Well,
is,
yeah.
Okay, so then Elden Ring, what it is that it's like you spin, and the you don't get to fight any of the bosses unless you pull them at gotcha, and then you get to fight them. And if you pull the 5 stars, they're really hard, and so those are the ones you really want to
mean.
fight. So the world is just empty, or except for cloud doors. And if you walk through the cloud door, it's like, well, I hope you have 5 orbs because you have to spin to see who you're going to fight this
all
time.
I'm saying is that as fun as it is to mock Genshin Impact, because look at all the anime waifus.
Yeah.
For the amount of time I played it, I had fun. It was a fine game. I did not spend any money in it.
Yeah.
It was not one of those games that constantly asked me for money.
That's good.
I have heard quite positive things about Genshin. Genshin Impact, I feel like Genshin Impact, it kind of goes, it's in that sort of similar area to Pow World, actually, where it's that, like, where people are initially like, ugh, and then they, like, play it, and they're like, this is actually, like, not bad.
Yeah. It definitely has the trappings of other games that you like, and if you like those things in other games, you'll probably like them in that game too. And they're doing another Honkai Star Rail, I think, is the new one.
Honkai Star Rail, and
I have no idea what that's
what is
like.
it?
If that's even
Hoyoverse is kind of got like a bunch of different games going that
Mihoyo.
are, as far as I can tell, all the same idea but with different universes. Maybe. I haven't tried any of the other ones.
Yeah.
I don't have that much time to just sit down and be like, even for a free game, to be like, I'm gonna plunk in like 40 hours into this thing.
I can only remember what so many anime characters look like. I've learned that in my dotage, that I can only keep track of what certain people look. How many anime characters I can keep straight in my head, and I'm like, I can't. I think I've reached like that limit overall, and if I was to try to play Genshin Impact or Honkai Star Rail, it would just, the thousands of characters in those games would just push the rest of them out.
Do you think that maybe that could be partly that a lot of anime waifu type characters kind of look the same?
They're all kind of weirdly derivative.
Well, okay, but like if you look at the game as, okay, when I ran closer into the artist alley circles, there's always like people who have like kind of their fan fiction, and they have like all the artwork of all their OCs, and they've got like a bunch of like background information on all of them. No story written, just like all the background information for the cool character designs they do. That's Genshin Impact. And you get your favorites, you know the stuff you know about them, and then that's it. You don't.
Yeah.
I don't think you try to actually collect all the characters.
You ship them and then you buy Dojin. That's what you do.
That might be hard.
It's like I remember on AFK we played that game. What's it called? It's like this sort of Japanese. It was this sort of Japanese style.
It wasn't
game
Bullet.
Where there's all these like big sort of like mist ogre guys. Oh. And it's like a area control kind of thing, and you have to I forget what it was called, but the big thing about it though was that the figurine, like the miniatures for it, were just incredible, like beautiful sculpts done, and to the extent that it was like, you guys are in this for the sculpting the miniatures part, aren't you?
The game itself is not really that important.
That's what you're really there for.
And it's like sometimes there's games where you're like, you guys just want to design anime waifus, right? They're like the game is just sort of like a place to put them, which is totally legitimate.
I mean, yeah, like I look at a game like that and I'm like, it's whatever. But I can tell you if they put in characters that I really liked, like, I don't know, Hatsune Miku or something, and like I can play her running around with a sword instead of some weird thing where she always realizes that she's not human, that would be nice. Her storylines are always kind of... Everyone goes
She's
through the
constantly
same storyline.
realizing she's not human.
Kind of.
Very, very...
Every game I've ever played where she shows up in a crossover, she's just like, I feel like I might not be human.
She has no solid state memory. It's just random access. So every time she goes to sleep for the night, she wakes up and she's lost a little bit of what's gone on before.
It's really sad when you do it. I don't...
Hey,
yeah, anything else? Of course.
Speaking of things that are sexy, possibly.
What? Why?
It's
Bondsley.
Bondsley. Yeah.
Oh, that. Sorry, that was such kind of like not a story to me that I kind of just
That
dumped it.
apparently the character the actual Pokemon has a little hole in the butt because he's based on a bonsai plant, and that's like the drainage hole for the thing. So it's entirely totally above board.
Mm-hmm. I think you all have a vaguely weird idea of where buttholes actually go, because it's not really the place you put a butthole.
You got to put a butthole somewhere in a character, though, right? Like, you have to put it somewhere.
It's more on the back, though. It's not in the middle like that.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're creating a character from scratch, it's your OC. You can put the butthole wherever you want. Keep that in mind, young artists. You can put the butthole wherever you want on the things you're drawing.
And
please don't take advice from Beach.
Speaking of buttholes, the Day Before developers.
It's really good.
Fantastic.
Yeah, holy.
Don't work for these guys. I mean, I don't think
reading the article on this was just like horrendous.
I don't think there's that much chance that will be something that will have an option of doing in the near future.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I think they are being rightfully,
dragged,
burned in the industry to the extent that I doubt they will actually be able to do anything anymore.
The accusation of allegedly being fined by the place you work for not putting in work that they deemed low quality.
Yeah.
I'm just like, so I have to pay to work here in a place that I might just be volunteering at because it was the same company that was volunteers.
Yeah. I mean, and that the fact that like that whole volunteer thing, that was like that was on their like official website.
Yeah.
This is, stuff from anonymous employees, but it rings true considering the kinds of stuff that they were advertising. So I'm inclined to believe it. And
because the other one was like
I feel
huge crunch, 6 hours of sleep within a week, and then getting fired.
I feel like the 6 hours in a week, I mean, might be like a slight exaggeration. I feel like there might be some actual like physical limits on whether that's possible.
It might not be possible. I'm not sure.
Yeah, I don't know about that. Given
Molly,
some
you're killing me. Yes, it is. I mean,
you can't do that. Molly said, "Is the sand on dune just a big letterbox for the sandworm? Yes or no?" You have to say it out loud for the people who watch the VOD later.
And the answer is yes.
Mm-hmm.
I think she knows that too. I think she's just trying to.
Isn't that what the spice is?
Yeah, essentially, yeah.
Yeah, sand poop.
Yeah.
Worm poop.
The
blue poop. Spice is blue, right? Or does it just make your eyes blue?
It makes your eyes blue.
So the spice itself isn't necessarily blue.
We've never seen what this. You know what?
We've never seen the spice.
Welcome to Dune Point.
It's brown.
Yeah. Well, we say that it's brown.
That's what it's depicted as.
It's always been like depicted as being brownish orange and that kind of thing, and it turns your eyes blue, and it has a cinnamon-esque kind of smell about it and taste about it, that kind of idea. But it's not like there were no. Like, I don't think Frank sat down and was like very clear. It's like, this is like this, but it's not like bright blue or anything.
I just don't remember it being described in the book, but I also read the book like ages ago.
Yeah.
Anyway.
We could go for a whole hour on Dune, and I think chat would be very happy about it.
See, the spice had glowed radiant blue in the dim silver light. And it's like, right, so you're kind of... Because it says it tastes like cinnamon, we picture it like cinnamon.
Right.
But it has... So, right, a heavy powdery substance can be orangish. Thank you, the Maricat. Heavy powdery substance can be orangish in its gas form. It changes the color from blue to purple to reddish brown depending on the environment. That's crazy. But what that means is that's the way that light hits it. It's going to
depending on what the light hits and what kind of form it is, it might look different.
Great. Yes.
It's what I'm hearing, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Cool.
Oh, your question was for me, Molly. Yeah, I mean that makes sense. On that one Zeta shift, we had that entire Dune thing.
I could have left
every time you left.
Yeah, I could have left now. Actually,
no, because then we don't know when to call you back in, and that's
fair.
not good for this show.
Anyway, the day before, those guys suck. Good for them that nobody seems to like them anymore. And wow, Yeah, fining an employee or a volunteer. We don't actually know, was the guy working for them or volunteering for them?
Well, so there were paid volunteers and non-paid volunteers.
They
so,
kind of called everybody a volunteer.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was that. It was really gross.
Anyway.
That's like stuff we actually know because, as Paul said, it was written on the website.
And then Capcom put out this useless survey. They put out a survey that was like, "Hey, what do you want?" As people who are content creators,
Yes.
We know better.
we know that with all due respect, if we put out a survey that said, "Hey,
Do you want more of Corpline?
do you want more Corpline? Do you want more
Yes.
Road Quest? Do you want more?"
People are gonna say yes.
Yeah, like people want more things.
And therefore,
Also,
if you can go fill out the Capcom survey, please let them know that you want to see more Corpline and more Road Quest and more Commodore Hustle.
Also, if there's nothing in there like that mentions Ace Attorney, but there's a write-in, please write in Ace Attorney. How dare they leave that off?
yeah, they need more. They need to just go in there and say
Where are
you
my
need
Edgeworth games?
You need to
I've
bring
got the
Ace
great
Attorney
Ace
investigations to the English-speaking market in any way, shape, or form. Please just tell them to do that so that I never have to hear about this
the
at
Great
home
Ace
ever
Attorney.
again.
We just got the Apollo Justice trilogy, which is really hilarious because on the it's literally the trilogy for Apollo Justice, and Apollo Justice does show up in those 3 games.
Sure.
If you look at the back of the box, it says the branding for it has Apollo Justice, and then the other 2 games, the branding is for Phoenix Wright, because Apollo Justice got such a bad reaction when that game came out that they swapped back to Phoenix Wright. And so it's kind of hilarious to me to see this being like, oh no, we've all kind of turned around on Apollo now.
I would be so happy to have another Ghost Trick, but not Ghost Trick 2. Just like, I'd like another Ghost Trick.
I want a spiritual successor.
Yeah. Just do another one that's the same kind of game.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a good game.
It's a good joke. I use it all the time.
Yeah.
Let's talk about a couple of things that we didn't talk about in with the quick points and everything. We covered a lot of the stories that
Absolutely.
I marked,
Yeah.
but we got a couple here. For instance, and I know people were really hoping for this, the life-size Psyduck plushes, which apparently have been extremely difficult to get, are back available. Apparently, they were released in 2020. And people, maybe because they didn't want they wanted something to cuddle during the pandemic.
Yeah. And they're life size, which means they're about
31 inches.
that tall.
So, because
They come up to about your waist.
recently we had Pokemon Concierge, which is super cute, and the main character in that kind of ends up with a Psyduck.
Yes.
But also Psyduck is a Pokemon that Misty ends up with for quite a while too.
Right.
That is mostly not the one she's trying to call out most of the time, but he kind of just, because
Shows up.
he just kind of pops out. He's always got a headache. Psyduck's a very relatable Pokemon.
You should watch Pokemon Concierge. It's a lot of fun. It's only 4 episodes.
And they're very short episodes. It's so cute. I want more of that.
The Polygon article on this has a couple of great review quotes from reviews of these. Check this out.
We're down again.
Damn you, Psyduck.
Psyduck got a headache. I took the
Okay.
internet down.
Yeah.
Intriguing. Okay, so it isn't.
We didn't hear the...
I did just now.
Did you? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. I must have missed it.
It isn't the.
Oh,
so
there we
there's no
go.
other change.
So we should be back.
Yeah. I believe we're back.
Good.
All right. So Psyduck.
So, these are a couple of reviews people wrote. Words cannot express how pleased I am with this massive Psyduck. Truly massive. I'm thrilled that he finally came back in stock, and I have no qualms about purchasing him about this time around. By the way, this is $325.
Yeah,
It's a big Psyduck.
The
United
large
States
Pokemon
dollars.
generally are quite expensive.
Yeah.
He shows up in random places around the house, and it's always a shock at first when I see him. He is most definitely using his confusion attack. But then a calmness quickly washes over me, and I feel comfort knowing that he too is confused all the time. Beware, the shipping box is quite large and says Psyduck on the outside, so don't let him sit unattended for too long or somebody might try to capture him.
Yep.
Actually, I love that. That's actually mentioned in the other review as well. So this is the second review here. He is incredibly rotund and looks confused and distressed at all times. He is like looking into a mirror.
Again, relatable Pokemon.
I couldn't bring myself to place Psyduck on the floor, so he takes up half my bed instead. A small price to pay for Psyduck to watch over me while I dream, about an Appleton plush restock.
So they need. Go ahead.
He says, also, Psyduck came in a box that is not discreet at all. Anyone will be able to read in big bold letters that a 31-inch Psyduck plush is inside. So be ready to intercept the package once it is dropped off. Otherwise, Team Rocket might steal him.
I mean, that's a very good piece of information to have for review, knowing that you might end up with your package just sitting out on your doorstep like that.
They need to make one of the, please help me on this. Because in Japan, the tapir eats your dreams, I believe, is what the traditional thing is. But in Pokemon, there is a specific type of Pokemon that sits there and eats your bad dreams.
Moonin?
I think that's what it is, isn't it? Yeah.
I think it's Moonin.
Drowsy.
Is it Drowsy?
Drowsy. Well, there's a Dream Eater move that a lot of Psychic types have as well.
Went down again.
But I think there's a specific...
Yeah, I think a lot of Pokemon can eat dreams.
Yeah, but I think you might be thinking of you're thinking of the one that floats and looks like a fetus?
Not specifically. No, I thought there was one that looks like the tapir as well. But...
Oh, okay. No, that one would be Drowsy.
Okay. Then, yeah, fair. Heather,
Yes.
tell me, why does this 31-inch Psyduck plush cost $325?
The stuffing.
Yes. It is purely the
It's
polyfill.
going to be mostly the polyfill.
Do you know why that is? You know how I know that? Because if you go to AliExpress right now and you search for any of the giant-ass Pokemon plushies that you can get at whether you want like
Their skins are worth a lot less.
you can get their skins and you can get them for about $75 to $100 and you can then fill them at your own Build-A-Bear if that's what you want to do. But yeah, the whole reason these things cost a fortune is because the polyfill is...
The polyfill is the most expensive part because you actually need a lot more of it than you think you do.
Yeah.
Depending on huggability
Yeah.
and firmness.
Yeah.
Just get those like bags of air that are like the packing material.
God.
In Amazon boxes. Just like get a whole bunch of those.
So that when you hug it,
It'll be like,
pops?
well, no,
That sounds scary.
it'll be like inflated.
Get a like medium thick rubber bladder that you can kind of, or a couple of them that you can shove inside there and fill it with helium.
Oh, I thought you were going to go with water because there was actually a product for a while.
Yeah.
Baby dolls that had like water. I believe most of those got recalled after a while because there was a problem with the water that was in
I had
the
a friend who had a
but,
water
like,
pillow.
Get a
and-
little old water bed.
Yeah.
Put it in there.
Yeah. I had a friend who had a water pillow, and God, I did not like that thing because it weighed a ton. And I'm like, right, I sleep on a bag full of water, but I don't have to sleep under a bag full of water. But I like picked this pillow up one time. I'm like, oh my God, it weighs like 6 or 7 pounds. Like it's so heavy. But I guess it's restful
I was
because
saying it might be comfortable.
it will suck all the heat out of your head because it would be ambient
Yeah.
temperature, and so you wouldn't have that problem of your head getting too warm at night because the thing would just keep absorbing heat from you.
Yeah, I mean, if you're a crafter, you might have some leftover bits of foam that you could cut up, or if you have a lot of like fleece scraps, things that are still kind of soft.
Yeah.
You can kind of replace some of fill in things for that.
Yeah.
Polyfill's used because it's
But Harry is
you know.
awful for that. That's the thing with all the cut up t-shirts and stuff. And the inside is he's big and floppy and stuff, but he feels weird and lumpy in places. And like he would be better if he had like a layer of polyfill all around, and then the polyfill itself was buffed out
t-shirts
with-
are not terrible, but you
Yeah.
use them more for a bulk.
Harry
than,
Harry is perfect just the way he is. And we're down again.
no one will ever know, except they will if they watch the VOD later, because they probably won't cut.
Is
most
that
of this
5
out.
or 6?
I think that's
Definitely-
6 now.
See, I mean that's interesting too, because it did it like once or twice and then it was fine before.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Or is it
that
just
last
doing
week
it a
where this
ton
happened.
this
Yeah.
time?
Yeah.
This is just kind of.
I
This is
wonder-
weirdly like a lot.
I'm gonna ask you a weird thing. Oh no, that's not.
Do
a
it
good
near the
idea.
microphone, so at least on the VOD you're heard.
No, I was just gonna be like, I wonder if we could try to route the stream to Studio C's computer, but we could do all the capture on Studio B.
No.
No, that would be not an option.
No, I think at this point our option is just to kind of power through.
No, I mean not right now. I don't mean that, but I mean like in general. But,
Oh.
yeah, we should
Uh,
definitely figure out what's going on. That's
Speaking of pelts,
yeah.
Puma is teaming up with Monster Hunter.
Yes.
What?
So Puma, which is a athletic brand,
Puma?
a German athletic brand, I believe.
Based
yeah.
on a cat, though.
It's Adidas and Puma were formed by two brothers. We're fighting.
And they're teaming up with Monster Hunter. They haven't shown what the thing is, but I'm just assuming, considering that all your like cool outfits and clothes and equipment in Monster Hunter is made from bits of the monsters that you hunt.
Yeah.
I'm assuming that your Puma stuff will be made from bits of the Puma shoes, or you take
have
shoes
to?
and cut them up and
Yes.
turn them into things.
I suppose.
Are they doing shoes, or are they doing like athletic wear? Have they kind of said at least anything about?
There will be a number of collaboration products.
Yes.
Right. Okay. So
Not clear on whether that will be
Could
real
be.
life or whether that will be just in game, or
right, digital products are also a thing.
yeah, they're technically also a thing too. And it's like, are you going to get Monster Hunter
Oh, that would be
drip
that,
on
yeah, that would
Puma?
suck.
Like,
So
hey,
so in Monster Hunter, you can outfit your hunter with some Puma shoes.
So I was on a stream recently, in fact, wearing my Puma Cross Animal Crossing, one of the pieces of
I hope they do something better than
Puma
that.
collabs that they did with Animal Crossing, and those are fucking miserable. I couldn't believe how uninspired the stuff they came up with was. I was like, I don't get why. If you go look at Nintendo's site and have a look at what Puma came up with to work with Animal Crossing, I'm like, I don't know who designed that, if it was like a first year or somebody like that, but I'm like, god damn, you guys did not put the effort in.
Doesn't
They
really
are
matter who
awful.
designed it. Somebody approved of that.
They were awful, and I don't know if somebody then at Nintendo was like, yeah, sure, that's what you came up with, or if Nintendo designed them, or if this was a collaborative effort where you both said we're going to work on this together, come up with something we're both happy with, because then you guys screwed up, because they are not great. And I got one of the shirts because it was cheap, and I'm like, I want to see how this, because I want something with Timmy and Tommy and Tom Nook on it, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, not bad, but also not that inspiring for $40.
Was it at least a nice shirt to wear?
Really. It's not
That's
we make
disappointing.
nicer shirts.
Like that's the thing. Like I know there's a certain amount of money that you're paying because of brand name kind of things, right? But and I want the design to look nice.
Yeah.
But at the very least, especially with an article of clothing, I want it to feel nice to wear.
Yeah.
And because otherwise you're never going to wear it anyway.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter at that point, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You should check out our shirts. Or find them over at store.loadingreadyrun.com.
Yes, please.
I quite like a lot of them.
Anyway, let's call it there
Okay.
before we go
Fall
down
out again.
Sorry about all the problems with this stream. We'll try to get that resolved before next week. But
And if you're
just-
watching this VOD later, I'm sorry for all the Windows noises that probably made you jump throughout.
Just know that we hate it as much as you do,
possibly more, definitely more, in fact.
because we have to fix it, and that actually Paul has to fix it.
Nobody hates it as much as Paul does right now.
So anyway, thanks for joining us, and we will talk to all y'all later.
Bye.
Goodbye.